We are moving past the days of typing a prompt and waiting for a single text response. AI models now operate as continuous, autonomous agents, software that can work for hours to execute complex, multi-step tasks. But you cannot just let an agent run loose in your systems. To operate safely, it needs a specialized harness. This means building a secure execution sandbox, maintaining memory over long sessions, and routing the right external tools to the agent exactly when it needs them. Building that scaffolding from scratch creates a massive bottleneck. Engineering teams are burning months just setting up the infrastructure to safely host the agent, rather than actually building their core product. This leaves developers with two main paths to get a product off the ground: rent a fully managed cloud infrastructure, or build a do-it-yourself open-source setup from the ground up. This choice sets the clock on your project's survival. It determines how much runway you have left to find a market, and whether you will ship in time to capture it. Anthropic's Claude Managed Agents represents the managed route. It acts as an infrastructure as a service model, shifting the entire burden of sandboxing and tool routing away from your team and onto Anthropic servers. On the other side is OpenClaw. This is the leading open-source alternative, a locally hosted framework that gives you total, granular control over every component of your agent stack. This chart shows the framework we will use to compare them. We are going to evaluate both paths strictly on infrastructure complexity, recurring cost, and privacy. This is the classic build versus buy calculation, mapped directly onto the operational realities of modern AI. To understand the difference in speed, we have to look at the exact steps required to run Claude Managed Agents. First, an API call defines the agent's tools and boundaries. Next, Anthropic automatically spins up an isolated cloud environment, a secure, pre-configured sandbox. Then, you initiate a session, linking the agent to that environment to start executing tasks. Finally, you activate the event stream. As the agent works, it sends back real-time updates, like tool results or status changes, straight to your application. By offloading the container provisioning and agent loop management to these specific APIs, teams move from a prototype to a production launch in days, bypassing the months of engineering usually required to build a secure, stable harness from scratch. The catch is you operate entirely within Anthropic's parameters. You are locked into their specific container limits, pre-installed packages, and server uptime. Compare that to running OpenClaw locally. Instead of a single API, you are responsible for integrating a fragmented network of individual components. First, you have to download and tune a local LLM, like Gemma. Depending on your hardware, this model will likely lag behind Claude's reasoning capabilities, requiring you to spend time optimizing prompts to make up the difference. You also have to manually set up and host your own web search tools, like SearXNG, so your agent can pull current information from the internet. To keep that agent from destroying your local files, you have to write and configure a custom Docker container to serve as your secure sandbox. And once it is built, you are the one managing the physical hardware, the memory limits, and the inevitable crashes of a complex local stack. You get zero reliance on external APIs, but you pay for it with a massive, ongoing requirement for upfront engineering and maintenance time. The frictionless speed of Claude Managed Agents comes at the absolute cost of infrastructural independence. Beyond the setup time, the biggest structural threat to an AI project is token burn. Autonomous agents consume massive amounts of tokens as they loop through tasks and analyze data. OpenClaw eliminates this variable entirely. Because you run the models locally, your runtime is 100% free. You pay zero token costs, whether you run the agent for 5 minutes or 5 straight days. This chart maps out cumulative costs over time for a hypothetical app. With Claude Managed Agents, you pay standard base token costs, plus a flat fee of 8 cents per session hour of active runtime. At scale, that curve moves up quickly. However, Anthropic's built-in orchestration prevents failed agent loops and coding errors. For teams paying high developer salaries, preventing errors often offsets the hourly runtime fees. Then there is the issue of data sovereignty. CMA requires you to route all of your files, internal code, and credentials through Anthropic's cloud. OpenClaw guarantees total local isolation, keeping your data entirely on your own machines. The trade-off is structural. You either pay Anthropic with your capital and proprietary data, or you pay OpenClaw with your own engineering hours. Let's map out exactly who should be using which tool based on those constraints. This chart breaks down the decision into two main variables: your sensitivity to budget on the horizontal axis and your need for production speed and reliability on the vertical axis. First, consider the enterprise optimizer. These are teams with healthy budgets but extremely tight deadlines to ship working products. For these developers, Claude Managed Agents is the default choice. By trading API fees for saved DevOps time, they bypass months of infrastructural work. This allows them to build integrations in weeks and immediately outpace competitors who are still setting up local sandboxes. Next is the privacy-first tinkerer. This includes healthcare teams bound by HIPAA, financial institutions, or developers with strict IP laws. This group must use OpenClaw. Relinquishing data sovereignty to a third-party cloud is a non-starter. Local isolation is a hard requirement. Finally, we have the bootstrapper. These are independent developers building consumer apps or startups operating with almost zero runway. Bootstrappers should also default to OpenClaw. A slow development cycle is difficult, but exponential token burn is fatal. Free local execution keeps the project alive. Claude Managed Agents does not eliminate open-source tools. It simply forces you to accurately price the value of your own engineering time against the cost of a fully managed cloud.